ABC Listen. Podcasts, radio, news, music and more.
Drop shot, Sinner. Zverev pushes it back. Backhand Sinner. He's got it. Yannick Sinner is once again the Australian Open champion.
Can you believe it's less than a month until the Australian Open? That snuck up on us. The thing about tennis is it's always on, but we are not always paying attention. And then bang, in a post-Christmas haze at speed, with Sinner and Alcaraz, Novak and Nick, Aryna and those pursuing her, as well as a check-in with the prominent Aussies, courtesy of our good friend Wally Masur. I'm Patrick Stack. This is ABC Sport Daily. Wally Masur is a former Davis Cup captain and Grand Slam semi-finalist. Wally, we are edging towards the summer of tennis. We are hoping you might forecast some of the storylines ahead, and I feel like the whole world right now, in a tennis sense, has been besotted by the rivalry of Sincaraz, Yannick Sinner, Carlos Alcaraz. We kind of braced ourselves for the transition post-Roger Rafa, Novak and their dominance. We might have an absolute belter on our hands with these two. How much are you enjoying that ongoing clash?
Stacky, obviously, as a player, there was some great rivalries. When I first started out, there was the Borg-McEnroe rivalry. They played some epic matches. And towards the end of my career, obviously, we'd been through the Becker and the Edbergs and the Lendls and the Connors. And then we got to that Sampras-Agassi rivalry, which was fantastic. You sort of think, what's the next iteration? And then we had the Big Four, which was just unbelievable, to be quite frank, and Novak's still going. The tennis and the level that they produced and the competitiveness that they showed on an annual basis was phenomenal. And then you think, well, that's come to an end. What's next? And we only have to wait about 6 months, and you've got the arrival of Sinner and Alcaraz. And to say I'm enjoying it would be an understatement, Stacky, because I'm loving it.
When you practice together, when you see each other in the locker room, it's great, and then it's natural that you get to know each other, and better and better. You talk about, family and life in general, and sharing also some personal stuff.
I think that the word rivalry is tick on the professional part. Just in the tennis side, we're trying to find the weaknesses from each other on court, but then when we shake hands and we are off the court, we're totally different, and we became persons.
And what I love about Alcaraz, I always scratched my head a bit with Federer. I wanted him to explore his net game. Now, that's a lot easier said than done, because of the quality of the ground shots these days. But, I'm really enjoying what Alcaraz is bringing to the table, not just his athleticism, his ball striking, his flair, but his ability to move forward, win points at the net, play the drop shot, use angles, use the slice.
That is pure magic and artistry at its best.
It's that shot, which is meant to be a drop shot, gets Sinner moving forward. He then nudges it deep, and then just to put the icing on the cake.
We see Sinner working on his net game. So just, this constant evolution of the sport. And these two great athletes have certainly gapped the field to a certain extent.
If you had to pick one player between the field and Sincaraz, you'd probably make the argument that it's Novak. He didn't win a slam in 2025, and that's unusual by his standards. His last match at Melbourne Park was kind of ugly.
It is Zverev who lands the first blow, and Novak Djokovic is going to pull out. He's retiring hurt. Novak Djokovic is reaching to the chair umpire.
No one can believe it.
Shaking his hand. That has come out of nowhere.
While the crowd booed him off court, it was odd scenes off the back of that whole Tony Jones situation. Do you think he's going to return to past glories this coming summer at Melbourne Park?
Look, someone asked me the other day, I was actually on air on the ABC, and they said, can Novak win another slam? And I paused. And I said no. But, there's a part of me that goes, is that right? Is that correct? I mean, can you write Novak off? I agree with you, Stacky. He was so, because you sort of think, is it Zverev? Who's the guy that's going to challenge or knock one of these guys off in a slam? I thought Novak was awfully close at the French against Sinner. Ultimately, Sinner was too good, but it was tight, and I felt like there was moments there where, the match was, was in the balance to a degree. He wasn't that far off.
Remarkable. What a strike off his two-hander.
And it caught Sinner by surprise.
I think the problem, obviously, for Novak with his age, he'd almost be better off playing Sinner in the first round as opposed to a semi-final or Alcaraz in a semi-final, because there's just a bit of wear and tear by the time he gets there, a little bit of fatigue in that, he's in his late 30s now. And I think it's the cumulative effect that gets him. I think in any individual match, he's a chance, but I can't see him winning a slam because of the workload over 2 weeks.
From a myopic Australian point of view, who are you feeling good about in the men's side of things?
Got to feel good about the Demon. We always feel good about the Demon.
De Minaur gets it back. Off forehand, misses from Mickelson. The words that De Minaur has longed to hear in his 8th Australian Open. Alex De Minaur is through to the last 8 for the first time.
And, of course, his great challenge, he finished in the top 8 again at the end of the year, which is phenomenal. But he's a man of high expectations, so, of course, he wants to do better than a quarterfinal of a slam, which he's achieved on numerous occasions. So all eyes on the Demon.
If I'm going to make the next step, then these other types of matches need to start going my way. I just need to start catching a break to, take it to the next level.
For me, obviously, in the men's side of things, I think Alexei Popyrin is extremely dangerous on any given day. But you've got to perform at your home slam on a given day, so that we'll see. But look, Alexei had some great results. He's had some great results in big tournaments, so we know he's got the level.
And yet another huge shock here in New York. Alexei Popyrin into new territory at the majors. What a summer for this guy.
It's just a question of producing that on a consistent basis. And I just want to say too, Stacky, I've just been in and around some of the Australian players training for their pre-season leading into the summer of 2026. And, the Aussie boys, hats off to them. They work hard. They work hard as any player on tour. So, I'm just watching them go about their business. I'm impressed with their effort, put it that way.
Nick Kyrgios will be hopeful of getting a wild card. He can be an enormous draw for the tournament. Would you expect him to certainly get one, and can he make an impact on court?
Oh, Stacky, thank God I'm not a selector anymore. It's one of the more stressful. You just can't keep everybody happy. But, obviously the wild cards, there's a performance angles to wild cards. There's, past champions returning from injury, young up-and-coming players. And, of course, the tournament director has a lens because he's running an event. Nick is a massive draw card. A fit and firing Nick Kyrgios was the one guy that could, take the match out of the best player in the world's hands. He could threaten the big four when he was firing.
It's jaw-dropping stuff from Kyrgios. In your life, have you ever seen anything like this kid?
I'm assuming that, as you suggested, he'd be a major draw card and the tournament director would want him in, because how he likes to not play in those early rounds on the Rod Laver Arena. He likes to go to Hisense. Yeah, and the queues are phenomenal. So I don't think this year would be any different if that transpires.
It's feeling really good. The last month's probably the best I've felt physically, and I'm heading overseas on the 30th to go play some events in the States, and then obviously the Battle of the Sexes. So it's been a long time coming, and obviously I've struggled with a couple surgeries. But no, look, I didn't give up, and I'm finally here and able to go out there and do what I do best.
So Nick will play the exhibition Battle of the Sexes reboot against women's world number 1 Aryna Sabalenka. I'm not sure how much stock any of us can put in that particular match, but on Sabalenka, Wall, I feel as though Sabalenka's best is the best in the women's game. When you look at the rest of the field, who do you see as the most likely competition for Aryna this summer?
Well, I agree with you. As we talked about Sinner and Alcaraz in the men's game, so we had Rybakina and Swiatek for different reasons having a few off-court issues which really seemed to affect their on-court performance, but that seems to have changed over the last few months in terms of being settled and happy and playing their best. You look at women's tennis and you talk about the power of Sabalenka.
Shot of the tournament for Aryna Sabalenka.
And when she marries that with a little bit of court craft and, just a little bit of judicious shot making, and, she was a little bit, she overshot the mark a bit at the French Open, for example. I mean, huge amount of errors over the course of 3 sets, and Goff did the right thing by counter-punching and fighting and dealing with the conditions. But, I look at Rybakina, or I look at Sabalenka, or I look at Aryna Sabalenka, who was pretty good over the course of 2025. Madison Keys, when she got it right at the Australian Open.
It's Maddie's time in Melbourne. She's a major champion. Finally, Madison Keys has won the 2025 Australian Open.
When these girls with this sort of crazy power hit their straps and they're confident and they find the mark, it's hard to diffuse that sort of power. But, you've had Jesper Gould, you've had Coco Gauff, slighter players who run and fight and compete and are smart. It's not quite as clear cut for me, but I do agree with you when the likes of Rybakina and the likes of Sabalenka get it right, probably the two most powerful players. It's hard to go past them.
Australia's women are kind of in an interesting place. Maya Joint coming off a really impressive year. Ayla Tomljanovic still feels like she's making her way back post those injury setbacks. Daria Kasatkina suffered burnout this year. She wrapped up her campaign really easy. If you had to pick one out of the Australian field to look out for, who would you be drawn to?
Well, look, I don't know a lot about her because she's done all her best work overseas, and she's still young at 19 years of age, but probably just from a result perspective, you sort of think Maya Joint.
Magnificent Maya. Maya Joint saves a match point and clinches this tie for Australia against Brazil.
If she handles playing at home, with the spotlight and the interest on her and crowd support, if she handles that, I think she'll kind of maybe reveal herself to the Australian public, what she's got and why, she's done so well over the course of 2025. So I suppose that would be, if you had to say there's a focus, I suppose that would be it for me.
It's going to be a cracking summer of tennis. We've got all the lead in, and then we've got the Australian Open itself a little under a month away. Incredible to think it's going to come fast. Wally, thanks so much for your time. Appreciate it.
Stacky, as always, pleasure to chat to you.
Soundbites, got to start with darts, and Kenyan veterinarian David Munya becoming the first African to play at the famed British Ali Pali venue. He did not disappoint, beating top-ranked Mike Dedeker to score a historic win.
It is one of the biggest stories in the history of Darts World Championship. It is one of the biggest shocks in the history of Darts World Championship. It is one of the greatest moments you will see on any sporting stage.
At one point, a wasp landed on his face. Yup. But nothing was stopping Munya. And speaking of winners, Fernando Mendoza just won the Heisman Trophy for best player in US college football. He made it all about his mum.
Mommy, this is your trophy as much as it is mine. You've always been my biggest fan. You're my light. You're my why. You're my biggest supporter. Your sacrifices, courage, love, those have been my first playbook and the playbook that I'm going to carry through my side through my entire life. You taught me that toughness doesn't need to be loud. It can be quiet and strong. It's choosing hope. It's believing in yourself when the world doesn't give you much reason to. Together, you and I are rewriting what people think is possible. I love you.
He's in the good books for life, that kid. That's one way to show love. Another is gifts. Kyrie Irving, star guard at the Dallas Mavericks, has gifted his teammates custom golf carts for Christmas. Klay Thompson, Anthony Davis, Cooper Flagg, all of them looked pretty stoked driving their new carts around.
These will be shipped to your homes. Oh, you look good, brother. You look good. See what's going on. Hey, Mo, stay with us. I think it's all. They got the C-Say number 30 on there. Bluetooth LEDs. Oh, yeah. I can't wait till I get this to the crib. Oh, yeah, I'm going. I'm driving this to the crib. I'm a terrible driver.
Imagine being gifted a golf cart and having a home adequately large to store one. That's nice. I'm Patrick Stack. This is ABC Sport Daily, produced by Jason Ford. Thanks to ESPN, the Professional Darts Corporation, the Dallas Mavericks, Channel 9 and CNN for the extra audio used in this episode. Next week, we're going to have one of the more fun projects for the year. We're counting down our top 20 Australian sports stories for the year that was 2025. Do you love a countdown? I do. What made the cut? What do we rank high or low? You are going to find out. And it was a sneaky big year in Australian sports, so we're pretty excited with what we can bring you next week. That'll be on ABC Sport Daily. Catch you then.
Discover more great ABC podcasts, live radio and exclusives on the ABC Listen app.